Studying abroad is one of the best ways to learn about the world, but are you financially ready to take such a trip? Hello there everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Business Ben Show, your one-stop shop for all things personal finance, investment, and financial empowerment. As the title suggests, I am your host Ben, and today we're going to be taking a little bit of a deep dive into the essentials of planning for study abroad trips when you're in college. Financially speaking, that is. Join me today as we discuss the essential tips that will make your journey abroad a complete financial breeze. From mastering the idea of currency exchange to scoring some epic student discounts, today we've got you covered. So without further ado, let's dive into the secrets of managing your money around the world like a pro. But before we get started, just a quick disclaimer, I am not a registered financial advisor, nor is any of this financial advice. I'm just a random guy on the internet telling you what works for me personally, and if you want some info on making your own informed financial decisions, I would recommend seeking out your personal financial advisor. Anyway, now that's out of the way, let's get to the video. Studying abroad is an amazing opportunity to explore new cultures, make lifelong memories, and gain a broader perspective on the world. But along with these adventures comes the responsibility of managing your own finances, especially when you don't necessarily have a source of income to help support you. So let's get to some tips that can help you along that journey with tip number 1, currency exchange. One of the first things you'll encounter when studying abroad is the difference in currency. It is crucial to familiarize yourself with the local currency and keep up with the current exchange rates. For example, if like me, you're going to study abroad in London, you'll be wanting to watch the Great British Pound and how that relates back to the dollar. So you want to keep an eye on the exchange rate between the two. Currently, as of right now, the exchange rate is about $1.27 for every 1 British pound. However, if you're planning to do some exchanging beforehand to have some extra cash before you leave for your trip, do some research with your local banks so you can order that currency ahead of time. You can place certain money orders so that you can get the exchanged currency in your pocket before you even get on the plane. Having this little bit of cash will be extremely helpful when you first arrive and you're still trying to familiar yourself with the local customs and the local traditions and just trying to get your feet on the ground. But when you first arrive, do not turn all of your cash into local currency. That can be extremely confusing and also not very smart when it comes to getting the best exchange rates. What I would personally recommend is having a credit card with no foreign transaction fee. I'll have a link to some options down below. Having a card with no foreign transaction fee will easily allow you to safely and conveniently spend your money, especially when added to Apple Pay or similar programs. These cards will automatically do the exchange rate math for you. And because there's no foreign transaction fees, the price will just be what the price of the item is, without any additional random fees on top. This will give you some peace of mind and add an extra layer of safety, which I'll talk about later. All in all, you just want to make sure that you're on top of the exchange rates, you know about what the exchange rate is, and that all of your cash isn't immediately converted into the local currency. Although it might seem daunting, don't worry, you'll get a hang of those exchange rates, it just might take a week or two. Moving on to tip number 2, creating a budget. Who would have guessed? Budgeting is your best friend while abroad. You'll want to estimate your total expenses, including accommodations, food, transport, and other leisurely activities that you may or may not be doing. Be realistic about your spending habits and set a weekly budget for yourself. For instance, allocate a certain amount of money to dining out, exploring local attractions, and other activities. Track your expenses through mobile budgeting apps as well as keeping a spreadsheet or just one of the two. This can be a great way to stay on top of your spending. We have a whole video dedicated to all of this budgeting talk, so be sure to check it out right here. A quick way that I am currently using as I plan for my study abroad trip to estimate my spending is to see what my spending was for the semester last year and then multiply that by 1.5. This will allow all of my living expenses such as food, transportation, and whatnot to be covered, as well as leaving a generous amount of money on the side for any unexpected travel expenses or if I want to say just take a weekend trip somewhere else. All in all, having more money is better than having less money, especially when you have no source of income. I recommend keeping a savings account with all of the money that you have saved up, and then each week taking money from that savings account and then moving it into your checking account. Or if your savings account has limits on how much money you can move around, do it once a month. That way, at the end of every week or every month, you know how much money you have to spend and how much money you have spent. And that way, if it's in your checking account, you can't accidentally spend more money than you have. Moving on to tip number 3, financial safety. Your financial safety is of utmost importance, especially when going abroad. Keep your debit and credit cards in a safe and accessible location, and notify your banks about your plans to travel. This is one that people forget. Imagine you're working at a bank and suddenly you're spending all of your money in Boston, but then you're making purchases in London. That's a little bit odd, and they might cancel your card, leaving you without any way to spend your money. And although a forced way to not spend your money might sound like a good thing, imagine if you need to get out in an emergency, you need to get a taxi from the airport, you need to pay for a hotel room or anything else like that. You need to have access to your funds at all times. With that in mind, it's also a good idea to have a backup plan, such as a secondary, no foreign transaction fee card, or a good amount of cash on hand. But this is all just in case. But better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. In addition, going a little more into the nitpicky, avoid using public Wi-Fi when accessing your finances, such as banking apps or banking websites. Some public Wi-Fi have ways to get into your banking information just by you connecting to the Wi-Fi, so I highly recommend using a VPN when abroad. I'll leave a link down to the one that I use. This just gives you an extra way to protect that sensitive information. When it comes to getting credit cards, safety is where those credit cards shine. This is what I was talking about earlier. If the worst were to happen, if you were to lose your card, you can simply just cancel it and then eventually get a new one. But if you were to lose cash, well, good luck. If you were to get scammed or your card was to get stolen and there were unverified purchases, your card will have insurance and you can dispute those unverified purchases and get your money back. But if someone were to steal your cash and then spend your cash, well, good luck. If you're trying to travel light and keep yourself from being a target for pickpockets, carrying around one credit card is a lot easier than carrying around a big wad of cash. It's a lot easier to take care of and protect yourself from pickpockets. Cash is bulky and harder to carry in large amounts, and a lot harder to lose mentally if it's stolen. All in all, use common sense and think before you act when it comes to money. Don't take out large amounts of cash in public areas. Make sure you are safe and have friends around you when using an ATM. Use Apple Pay with your cards to add that extra level of security, and so you have to keep track of less items. I could go on with this very nitpicky safety stuff for hours, so leave some questions down in the comments below if you can think of any. Tip number 4, look for student discounts. Being a student has a lot of perks, especially when going abroad. Many places offer student discounts, such as museums, transportation, and even local attractions. Always carry a student ID with you and be sure to explore the various student discounts that exist when you're trying to stretch your budget. It never hurts to ask if somewhere has a student discount. The worst case, they say no. Whether it's discounted tickets to a historical site or reduced fares on public transportation, every little bit helps when you add it all up and you take it out of your savings. Also another tip, but a bit more of a long shot, write emails to different companies and see if they'll help sponsor your trip. If there are certain travel products that you really want, or certain companies that you know like to sponsor students going abroad, reach out to those companies to see if they'll give you free stuff, or even just a $100 scholarship for transportation. Worst case, they say no. Using some of the tips from last week's video, have AI draft an email template and use LinkedIn to find some of the people that run these companies. Get their emails and send those email templates out. This can really help boost you forward and help to cut back on some spending that you would have made on necessary travel or necessary products you would need for your travels. And who knows, you might get some special offers. Tip number 5, cook and shop like a local. Eating out all the time at different restaurants can quickly drain your budget, especially when you're abroad and the cost of a restaurant can be a lot more than in the US. Embrace the local culture by shopping at local grocery stores and cooking your own meals. Not only will you be able to save money, but you'll also get a taste of the local cuisine. And you'll also learn how to cook it in a very authentic way. Consider trying local recipes you can find online or just by talking to people. Shop at local farmers markets for fresh produce and affordable ingredients. Cooking together with your fellow students can also be a great bonding activity, which can be a lot of fun and will help you to create a strong bond with your peers and ultimately will keep you safer when abroad. Make friends with local shop owners and see if they'll give you student discounts like I mentioned earlier. Again, worst case, all they say is no. Or try exploring apps like the app Too Good To Go, which is what my restaurant uses when it comes to day-old baked goods. This app allows you to claim free mystery boxes from different restaurants that have a bunch of goods in them that are not going to expire but are not good enough to resell the next day. For a very cheap price, you can grab those baked goods and just put them in the freezer or eat them that day, and there you go, you have a very cheap and easy meal. All in all, try and find different ways to spend less on food because you'd be surprised it's going to be very up there when you're looking at your budget. Tip number 6, explore affordable travel options. Traveling is an integral part of studying abroad, but it can also be pretty costly. Look for affordable travel options such as group deals, student travel agencies, or student discount cards on public transportation. Traveling during the off-peak seasons can also save you some cash. Don't forget to research student travel passes, which can offer unlimited travel within a certain number of countries that share borders. They'll offer you this at a very cheap and fixed price, which is a fantastic deal when you're traveling abroad and want to visit neighboring countries. Also, some credit cards offer some great travel perks, such as cashback points towards travel or offering special travel portals that give you access to specialty flights. Saving up those points can really add up over time and can give you an awesome free trip. My good friend Diego told me about how he and his friends took a weekend trip to Barcelona for less than $100. They did this by doing cheap flights, staying at hostels with group travel rates, and mostly eating street food. It's completely possible to save money and also have a great time. Just make sure you do your research ahead of time for the best offers, best deals, and best prices. Knowledge is power, my friends, even when it comes to studying abroad. Studying abroad can be an unforgettable experience that will shape you personally and academically for years to come. Not to mention seeing how different countries' financial systems work. By managing your finances smartly, you can make the most of your adventure without breaking the bank. Remember, plan ahead, be mindful of your spending, and enjoy every single moment of your journey. And with that, you have Business Ben's travel tips for studying abroad. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video or have any other questions, be sure to like and comment down below so I can see and answer them as quickly as possible. And let me know down in the comment section below if you want to hear more general finance advice or if you want to hear some more student-specific stuff. I'm happy to do either, so just let me know down below. Be sure to hit that subscribe button as well as the bell notification to stay updated on all the videos we post. And if nothing else, have safe travels and remember, you got this.